Majority of Americans support banning social media for kids under 16. Now, this is a very important video, and it all comes down to some key words. This is by the Pew Research Center, and they basically do surveys, polls, and try to gather data on what's happening in society. They get feedback from the public in the US and what they think about policy, legislation, and new proposed legislations. They basically try to get an understanding. Now, it is worth noting, I need to get this out of the way immediately, a lot of the stuff on their website is to do with social media, mental health, AI chatbots, all of this stuff. It's very focused around the technology side of regulation in the US of digital services and digital products. I think that's a focus that they must have at the moment with trying to collect data on topics such as this. Now, in the UK, we did a similar poll. In fact, the government hosted the poll. They ascertained that 60% of people in the UK were in support of a social media ban, and the US here has done the same thing. Nearly 6 in 10 US adults support banning anyone under the age of 16 from using social media sites, according to the Pew Research Center survey. Now, here's the interesting thing, and this is the most important part of the video, and it kind of sets the foundations of my concerns. In the UK, they also did a separate survey. It was an entirely independent, separate survey where, rather than asking if people support a social media ban for under 16s, they changed the question. Do you think people over the age of 16 should hand over their identification documents to utilize social media? Which, by the way, is the exact same thing. They are two halves of the same coin. And the support fell by 50%. 50%. And this is the problem with the surveys like this. I think it's pretty agreeable across the board that social media has negative effects on children. And the actual answer is very simple. Parental controls. Parents, stop your kids from spending 20 hours a day on social media. It's not good for them. They shouldn't be having social media at 7 years old. Why? They don't need it. So what they've done is take a very agreeable point that I'm sure we can all get behind, which is that social media inherently has negative side effects for children, and then made that the basis to back up their current policies. And this is what I want to talk about. But very quickly, if you don't want to have to verify your age to utilize social media in the US, which we'll get into in a bit, you can check out private internet access at the link down below. As a legal adult, you are legally able to utilize social media without handing over your ID by using VPNs. With private internet access, you get 2 months free and 87% off. They also don't keep any logs on what you do online, and they respect your privacy. And of course, it's also the best way to support the channel. Now, diving back into the video, this is where things get very important. We know at the moment that the Kids Online Safety Act is going through revision after revision after revision. We know that it went through the House and then now going through to the Senate with the social media ban in the US. The whole idea is they want to copy what the UK is doing. Now, before this comes into effect, it does need to be approved by the president, but the reality is that the president's made no effort nor attempt to stop this legislation dead in its tracks. When considering he's been very critical of the UK social media ban, you'd think he would have by now, especially with how much publicity this regulation is getting in the US. But this is the exact same hymn sheet that we saw in the UK. We saw the proposed legislation, then loads of research institutions publishing the same report that 60% of people support a social media ban, followed by a couple of weeks later the actual proposed regulation being announced publicly. Now, I'm not going to get into the whole tinfoil hat conspiracy theorist thing that, you know, the government are behind all of these surveys, but I think a lot of these surveys are based on what the government do. You know, these research institutions, to gain their presence and basically improve their data set, they want to do surveys on topics like this. But what this actually does is poison the well of information. Because when you Google a US social media ban now, it straight away comes up with a 60% support for it, when in reality that's not strictly true. 60% of people clearly do agree that social media can be harmful for children, but that doesn't mean that 60% of people want to hand over their passport to use their favorite social media platforms. And this is where it comes down to semantics. It's key terminology, it's wording, and you're arguing points that you can't really argue against, because whilst the data that they've presented here is correct, it's not a full picture. This doesn't ask anything about age verification. So yeah, that about wraps up today's video. If you do enjoy my content, this is my US channel, it's the Waffle House, so please make sure to subscribe. It would be great to get to 10,000 subscribers by the end of this year, so please make sure to like and subscribe, and yeah, make sure you tap that bell icon to be notified when we upload new content. Thank you for watching, and I shall see you all in the next video.